So when it comes to gear, one of the biggest questions, if you're looking to get into recording for the first time, or even if you've been recording for a long time, you're going to want to know, what kind of microphone should I get? What's the best microphone for vocals? What's the best microphone for guitars, for drums? When it comes to gear, there's one place I love to go. They are not a sponsor of this video, but that of course is sweetwater.com. So here are some things I want to do. I want to create a cart. So I'm going to go shopping with you. And right now we're going to start off, and let's just say that our budget is $500. Now, of course, if you're looking to get into recording and you don't want to spend any money, what do you do? Well, if you want to get into recording and you don't want to spend any money, you probably already have an iPhone. Okay. On the iPhone, there is a voice memo app. It kind of just looks like a red and gray audio wave. Feel free to use voice memos. You can simply just set it on your desk. You can grab your acoustic guitar and you can record. Now, why wouldn't I recommend you using your iPhone to record music? Why wouldn't you just use your iPad? iPads have GarageBand. Used GarageBand plenty of times. If you have a MacBook, it should have come with a free copy of GarageBand. You can do a lot of the similar things that you do in PreSonus Studio One in GarageBand. Well, we're going to run into things called bottlenecks. So if you're familiar with the concept of a bottleneck, it's basically what is the thing that's holding you back from getting the results that you want to have. So when you're recording acoustic guitar, I have a Martin OM21. This guitar is not a bottleneck for me because if I know what I'm doing, if I know how to play chords, this guitar should sound great. If the guitar sounds bad, that's totally on me. Well, the same thing applies to when you're doing video, when you're recording music. You want to find out where is the bottleneck. And for most people out there, if you're getting into recording, I would recommend you save up at least $500 because as you can see, when we jump into Sweetwater and we start putting together a list of what things do you need to start recording, I'm not really saying these are things that you need to start recording. I'm saying that these are the things that are going to get you professional results, okay? So it's okay to start small. You don't need to go out and buy the most expensive audio interface out there. In fact, here on my desk, this is the RME Babyface Pro. This is a 2-channel USB audio interface. It costs about $1,000. So do not go buy this if you haven't recorded a song in PreSonus Studio One. For me, I do have a PreSonus audio box. I've got many different audio interfaces over the years. I'd like to show you and share with you my experience when it comes to buying gear. Because one of my biggest recommendations when I get comments on YouTube about what should I buy, what should I get, is start with something small, something that's affordable and yet not total garbage, if that makes sense. So I'm going to look through some different audio interfaces. We'll talk about what that is and some recommendations along the way. So first and foremost, whatever you are recording, obviously your instrument or your vocals, that is number one. Okay. So what makes a really good vocal recording? A really good vocalist. What makes a really good drum recording? A drummer. A drummer that knows how to tune the drums will go a lot farther than a drummer that doesn't know how to tune or a drummer that doesn't know how to record, but has a really expensive drum set, okay? So obviously your ability to sing, your ability to play your instrument is gonna go the furthest. That's number one. Joe Gilder would refer to this as get it right at the source. So you don't need to have the most expensive stuff to have expensive sounds, okay? It's gonna come down to your skill and your tools that you have available. But I believe that there's a threshold. I think when you're looking to shop, especially when it comes to music gear, there are plenty of things that the world just agrees this thing is gonna get the job done, okay? But beyond your instrument and beyond your singing ability, we need to talk about microphones, okay? I have a lot of microphones in this room, but the biggest microphone, and you probably saw this on the thumbnail already, the one that I want to recommend to you is the Shure SM57. Let's get that in front of my face there. As you can see, this thing has been stomped on. This thing has got scuffs and marks, but this thing is a tank. So for most people out there, if you have not purchased a regular microphone, a microphone that has what's called an XLR output, if it doesn't have a thing like this, if you have a USB microphone and you want to get into the world of recording, get yourself a Shure SM57. These things, brand new, run about $100. You can also get them on Guitar Center used. You can get them on reverb.com, eBay, find yourself a used Shure SM57. I've had many used Shure SM57s over the years. I've never had one that I plugged in and went, wow, that sounds terrible. It sounds like a Shure SM57. So for most people out there, if you've never had a fancy microphone and you're looking to buy a microphone, let's go with the Shure SM57. Now this is going to apply. I'll tell you this. My wife and I did a farmer's market recently and we played music for 3 hours straight. Now, I have an SM58 that has a mute switch on it. I couldn't find it. Turned out it was in my laptop bag. But I went home and I grabbed an SM57. And for 3 hours, she sang into an SM57 live and nobody came up and said, I can't believe you're using an SM57 for her vocal. That is because the Shure SM57 is pretty much the standard, okay? So on Sweetwater, you can see right now, this one is about $89 brand new. That is a great set. And Sweetwater always has these little bundled options. So down here, you may not be able to see my mouse. Everything's so bright. So right here, we have a boom stand, which will come in handy, and a Shure SM57, and a microphone cable, all for $129. You know what? I'm actually going to go with the bundle, because if you bundle it, you buy these separately, they're going to cost $155. If you bundle them together, $129. So that gives me a boom stand, gives me a microphone, and it gives me an XLR cable. Because when it comes to recording, professional recording, you're getting into the world of professional recording, you need to start getting some regular microphones, okay? Try to stay away from the ones that are USB powered. I've had many Blue Snowball microphones. They're just not the same, okay? A lot of microphones are being made now for podcasters, and that is great. I'm sure they can sound fantastic, but you want to go with reliability, because the worst thing is you spend a lot of money on gear, and then 6 months later, you're selling it because you want to get the next step up thing. So Shure SM57, you can record vocals with this. You can record acoustic guitar with this. You can record snare drum with this, electric guitar amps, everything. This is a dynamic microphone. As you can see in the bundle that we've got our mic stand, which is going to be good for a studio setting, and we've got our microphone cables. But what do you plug your microphone into? So obviously we can't just take this microphone and plug it straight into my computer. We need what's called an audio interface, okay? So just like I showed you earlier, I'm using the RME Babyface Pro. This is a 2-channel USB audio interface, okay? Some of that language that you need to learn is, number one, how does it connect to your computer? So if you don't have an audio interface, you need to look at what type of computer you have. If you have a computer like this, notice there are no USB ports on this thing. Sorry, it's a USB-C, but there's no standard USB type A port on a MacBook. So you're going to need some sort of dongle or whatever, but you need to figure out, a lot of audio interfaces nowadays, they do come in USB-C. So maybe that's something you want to look at, but how does your audio interface connect? I don't think in 2024, it's not that Thunderbolt is, we know Thunderbolt, we know USB-C is extremely better than USB Type A, but when it comes to recording audio, you'd be surprised at how much you can get with a USB Type A. If you look up the specs, USB Type A, plain old USB, the first type of USB, the fat one that you see with like printer cables and stuff, I believe they can record simultaneous audio of up to like 64 tracks at one time. So don't get hung up on, oh, okay, I need to get USB-C because it's so much better than USB Type A. This RME Babyface Pro, like I said, this is about $1,000 audio interface, and this is just a standard USB cable on the side right here that goes straight to my computer, plugs into a traditional, regular old USB cable. But as you can see, as I carefully move this around, on the back of the audio interface, I have 2 sets of microphone input ports. So this microphone I'm speaking into at the moment is plugged into channel 2. I've got a microphone cable going straight in. And then these are my speaker outputs, okay? I'm not using a speaker output because for me, doing these YouTube videos, doing tutorials, it's just a whole lot better that I use headphones. So on the side, I have 2 guitar instrument inputs, so I can plug a guitar straight into my audio interface if I want to. And I have 2 headphone outputs. So my headphones are plugged straight into this audio interface. I can hear what I'm saying, and I can record and hear what I'm recording. I can hear what's coming out of the computer, okay? So an audio interface is the thing that allows us to plug a microphone into our computers. Okay. So first thing I would recommend you do is, if you're at Sweetwater, think of how you're going to plug in your audio interface. Most people out there, you're going to look for a USB interface. So I'm going to type USB. There it is, USB audio interfaces. Let's see what comes up. Okay, one of the most, probably the most popular USB interface out there is the Focusrite Scarlett. Okay, I've had these before. I think they are great. My wife has used this as well. So as you can see, it looks a little bit different, but a lot of the features are exactly the same. If we look at the back panel, it's very important. The back panel has one microphone input. It has our speaker outputs, left and right. And then it has this little, does anybody use a Kensington lock? Sorry, tangent. But yeah, I don't use the Kensington locks. It's kind of weird. If you're out there and you're stealing people's Focusrite Scarletts, come on, lay off. So USB, this is a USB connection. As you can tell, this looks a little USB-C-ish. So perhaps it comes with, let's see what type cable. Yeah, of course. It's a USB Type-C to USB Type-A, I believe, cable. Comes included. And the best thing about this type of interface, it's very friendly. If you are a singer-songwriter and you've got a guitar and you want to record a vocal, you want to plug one microphone in and you want to record guitar as well, something like this will go a long ways. $119 brand new. And if you want to get a demo model, basically, I think these are ones that they use at Sweetwater, like to show people just on the floor. I don't mean like the actual floor, but you know, they show people how it works. Shouldn't be anything wrong with it. I'm sure Sweetwater will cover whatever sort of ailments. But the thing you want to note about this one is there is no microphone input on channel 1. So channel 1 is strictly a guitar input. As you can see on the back, what we saw earlier, input 2 does have a microphone input. So if you get this Scarlett Solo, the Scarlett Solo basically means you're going to be recording one microphone and one instrument. If that's a keyboard, you're going to have to use the instrument jack on your keyboard. And if you are using vocals, you're going to be able to record vocals by plugging the microphone into the back. Okay, so Scarlett, we'll keep an eye on that one. Let's look at these other USB interfaces. This was a shout out in the comments section. Now, I haven't personally used this exact audio interface. I've had the Universal Audio Apollo version 1 and version 2 over the years, and they both sounded great, okay? But this is the USB Type-C Volt from Universal Audio. As you can tell, it's different from the Focusrite Scarlett in that we have two combo jacks on the front. So with this one, I could record, if I wanted to plug in two of these microphones, I could plug both of these microphones into channel 1 and channel 2. I could have one on my vocal, one on my guitar, and record them simultaneously at the same time. Also, with a combo jack, it allows you to not only plug in a microphone cable, but you could plug in two instrument cables instead. Okay, that's why they call it a combo jack. All right. And then another cool thing about the Volt, which was confirmed to me by the commentator, was that a little thing that Universal Audio does different is that this one has a built-in 1176 compressor sound to it, and it's got some buttons for vintage, so you can get some vibe from this thing right from the get-go. Again, I haven't tried this one out, but that one obviously $299 is kind of steep if we're working on a $500 budget. Might need to steer clear of that one for now. Doesn't mean it's not good, but that would suck up a lot of our budget. And then of course you see a bunch more options. They start getting more and more expensive. There's the one I'm using right now, the RME Babyface Pro FS. Also, you want to think about what you're recording, because if you're somebody that is recording drums, you're going to need a lot more than two inputs or two channels, okay? Something that has 8 channels, I would much rather have a less than stellar audio interface that has 8 microphone inputs than to be forced to use a 1-channel or 2-channel audio interface and record drums. You can record drums with 2 microphones. It's just not going to have that modern mix or that modern sound that you're so used to, okay? My recommendation is actually going to be part of a bundle. So PreSonus has the lowly Audio Box 96. And this is one of these where if you go on like Reddit or if you're looking at reviews, people love to hate on the Universal Audio Box 96. But here's why I love this thing. And I'll always have one, is because at $89, you're not just getting a 2-channel USB audio interface. This is combo jack. Okay, so the Focusrite only allowed you to plug in one microphone. This one allows you to plug in 2 microphones, or you can plug in 2 guitars. You can plug in a microphone and a guitar. Lots of options there. And as you can see on the back, we have a traditional USB like printer cable type deal. You've got a headphone jack, you've got 2 speaker outs, and you've got MIDI in and out. But the best part of this audio interface, the reason that I wouldn't even care if this thing were just the worst quality ever, is because in the fine print down here, you might be able to see this on the screen way on the edge. It says, what's more, your AudioBox USB 96 comes complete with PreSonus Studio One Artist version. So the artist version of PreSonus Studio One, if I go up here and I say PreSonus Artist, I can spell. The artist version of PreSonus Studio One, if you just bought the software, it's $100. So if you're looking to buy the software for $100, like this is the artist version, why not just buy the $89? It's cheaper. It's $10 cheaper, and you get an audio interface. So to me, it's a no-brainer. If you're buying the Focusrite Scarlett, you're going to have to go back, and if you want to get Studio One, you're going to have to spend money on PreSonus Studio One. So to me, the fact that this comes with the artist version of PreSonus Studio One, it means I get the audio interface to get me up and running, and it's going to come with the artist version of PreSonus Studio One. So I've got my microphone. Let's check our cart real quick. Again, trying to keep it at like $500, and I think we're doing swell so far. I've got an SM57, I've got a microphone cable, I've got a boom stand, and I've got the PreSonus AudioBox 96. So I've got an audio interface, I've got a microphone, I'm ready to record. The only other stuff I can think of, as far as our inputs go, we're at 219 right now, is you're gonna need an instrument cable. If you're gonna do like what I'm doing today, where we're just plugging straight in. Now, when it comes to cables, Sweetwater has this great deal. This is like a big commercial for Sweetwater. I don't work for Sweetwater. I'm not sponsored. But if you just type in cables when you search on Sweetwater, it's got this nifty little build your own cables function. So like I want an instrument cable. So I click this one. And then it says, choose the first connector. What style do you want? Okay, I want a TS male. And the second side, I want it to be a right angle male. So then it just literally sorts out all of the cables, and you can sort them by length or whatever. But let's see, there's a 10-foot Proco guitar cable right there. Let's say we want to be cool and go for the Ernie Ball braided one. So I've got a 10-foot guitar cable from Ernie Ball. I'll say when it comes to guitar cables, I haven't had many guitar cables that have just, or microphone cables in general, that have been like, wow, I'm just blown away by the quality of sound, okay? I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but this cable right here that's plugged into my SM7, this is my most expensivest microphone cable, and I cannot find where is the little logo. But if you'll trust me, there you go. There it is. This is a Mogami gold-plated. It said something like studio, but studio grade microphone cable. It's like a $90 microphone cable. And it's the only one I have. But I just was so curious. I was like, why is this microphone cable so expensive? And I'll just tell you, is it a good microphone cable? Yes, it is. Is it like 5 times better than my other like Neutrik XLR cables? No, I don't think so. But easily you can go through, whatever the cheapest cable is. If you're looking at a $10 cable, see if you can get like the $15 one. Just don't ever settle for whatever the cheapest thing is. Maybe go like one step up from that if you can. Okay. So we've got our guitar cable. We've got our microphone cable, boom stand. We got an audio interface. So now we need to talk about speakers, because this is the thing that drives me insane. And it has driven me insane for years and years and years, because I used to use the Adam A7X monitors. And if you're going to go the route of speaker cables, excuse me, I was looking at the screen. If you're going to go route of having studio monitors, let's see, is it not pulling up anymore? Type in Adam A7X. There they are. Oh, they don't make them anymore. Okay. So anyway, they've got a new version of these Atom speakers. The A7X, you can probably, the A7V. Okay, this is the new version of them, whatever. But you can get a pair of these studio monitors for $1,600. Now, do I recommend that you get studio monitors at this moment? If you are just starting out in recording, like brand new, I would not recommend getting studio monitors. And that's like shock value here on YouTube. But as soon as you get studio monitors, you start running down the biggest rabbit hole in the world. And the rabbit hole is acoustic treatment. You know, is acoustic treatment necessary? It's good to have. It makes a difference. I'll give all the, all the disclaimers out of the way. Of course, if you can acoustically treat your room, it's going to produce better recordings and it's going to sound better. But if you've got a really good pair of headphones, you're going to save so much money and so much sweat as opposed to getting really expensive studio monitors and then just be looking for a new house to live in because you're completely convinced that this bedroom is not big enough for the studio monitors you bought. So yeah, I would highly recommend, if you are going to go the route of getting your first ever setup, I'm going to recommend you get a pair of headphones. These are going to serve a couple of purposes, because when you have a pair of headphones, you're going to need headphones to record music in general. If you're going to be using a click track or you want to be able to hear what you're playing along with, you're going to need a pair of headphones. So why not just get a good pair of headphones? These right here, the Sony MDR series, they're not the most comfortable pair in the world, but you see these all over the place. These are just like as standard as it gets. If you just needed a pair to get started, if you do have studio monitors already, you just need a pair for recording, maybe you want to check these out. These are $100. I can recommend these because I've got a pair, not with me in the room, but what I've got at home, you see these a lot on podcasts as well. These are the Bayer Dynamic closed-back headphones. Now, these are the 250 ohm headphones. So when you're looking at these, like here, I've got the 250 ohm ones right here. They're about $170. Don't go for the 250 ohm unless you've got a high quality audio interface, because you have to turn up the volume really loud for these to pick up. So if you're like playing drums and stuff and you've got a headphone amp that can put out enough power for it, you can go 250 ohms, but they also make these that are in like 80 ohms as well. You can see right there, it's the same price. So keep an eye on the ohms, because these are great headphones. They're very comfortable. They're the most comfortable headphones I have. The ones I'm using for YouTube, the ones I use on the live stream, these are the Shure SRH, I think they're 1840s. These are open back headphones. But by and large, when you're looking around, these are some that I haven't tried, but I've seen these all over the place. These are the Audio-Technica ATH M50s, okay? I would assume that these could be recommended because there's been a lot of people who are a lot better at this than I am who have also recommended these. We're going to go with the Audio-Technica closed-back headphones for $150. The Shure SRH pair that I've got, 1840. These are expensive, but what I chose to do was, instead of having a $1,500 pair of monitors, I decided to get these open-back headphones from Shure. They're $500, and these sound fantastic. I'm wearing them all the time when we're doing YouTube stuff or whatever. Now, when you're recording, you have to worry about it having noise coming out of the headphones because they're open back. So when I'm recording, if I'm going to track some stuff, I'll wear the Bayer Dynamic closed back. They're a lot more isolated. But when I'm like listening to music or if I'm mixing something, I'll put these on as well. So $500 is a lot of money to spend on headphones, but I'm telling you, if you go the route of studio monitors, you're going to be spending money on speaker stands, and you're going to want to get the isolated speaker stands that are made of cast iron. It's a lot of money you end up spending. Now, acoustic treatment, there are a lot of things you can do for acoustic treatment that don't involve putting up panels all over the place. I do have this, it's not in shot, but I have this giant moving blanket on one of the walls, and it's really heavy. It's like this thick. It hangs on the wall, so there's that whole air gap thing, but just as easy to go that route. Okay? Now, let's take a look at our cart up to this point. Again, I said you had a budget of $500, and right now for your SM57, your microphone cables, your boom stand, your audio interface, a copy of PreSonus Artist included, your guitar cable, and your headphones, we're at $395 right there. Plenty of money. You can spend $100 at Starbucks if you want.